连在一起，天天用心听，听见台北的声音。FM 93.1，幸福永远属于你。
公民总主笔，
方恩格时间。
谁当家？
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 你当家？
谁当家？
谁当家？谁当家？
谁当家？我当家。你当家？我当家。
我当家。
到底谁当家？你来当家。
Welcome to Residence Messenger on Taipei Broadcasting Station. I'm your host, Ross Darrell Feingold. Today, our guest is publisher Li Peng from Aeroship Culture and Education. Li Peng, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ross. Hi, everyone.
We're so happy to have you because, well, we all love children, of course, and it's summer holiday. Kids are out of school and COVID-19, and there's not a lot of activities outside. But we hope that'll change soon. But parents need stuff to do with their kids, and what a great thing it is to just read a book. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Computers and tablets are fun too, but read a book. That's still the best thing for kids, right? So, but before we talk about Aeroship Culture and Education and books and what you specialize in, which is something called Wimmel Books, and we'll talk more about that. Tell us a bit about yourself and which part of Taiwan did you grow up?
I grew up in Taipei.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My whole life till now.
When you were a child, what did you want to be?
I used to want to be a reporter.
Okay. And then you wound up being in the book publishing industry anyway, so it's kind of similar because you're still doing writing stuff. So reading must have been a great interest of yours growing up.
Yes.
Why is that? Was there family members who were also book lovers?
My mom.
Friend? Your mom was a book lover.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of books did your mom love?
Well, she would arrange the living room and the studio with a lot of books, but she won't. She didn't ask me to read this, and that. Mm-hmm. But she just gave me my some freedom to choose the books I want. Mm-hmm. So some books I read over and over again, but some books I might not touch it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So but I think it's a good memory for me.
And when you were a child and you said you were surrounded by books, what were your favorite books, whether Chinese language books or foreign language books? What were your favorite books as a child?
It's pretty interesting. I collect a pile of English learning magazines when I was little, primary school students. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a famous English teaching institute here in Taiwan. It's called Giraffe mm-hmm. English. They used to be a magazine publisher, and they publish English learning magazine every month. So I waited the arrival of
this was your big thrill of the month.
Yeah. So yeah, it comes, and then I will read through every page, and I even copy them and make a note or something.
Well, that's an important or a useful way to learn a foreign language, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more you write and the more you read is certainly just as important as sitting in class or doing homework. But besides looking at Giraffe magazines, what were some of the important factors that really helped you improve your English as a child or as you became a teenager and eventually an adult? Well, looking back now, what do you think were important factors?
There were not that many English children's books at that time, but we do have some Chinese children's books, picture books. I loved picture books a lot. It may not be English, but I still enjoy reading them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But did you have a family member who spoke English really well, or did you have a teacher who was a great English teacher at primary or secondary school? Did you watch a lot of English language TV shows, for example? What were some of the other things that helped you improve your English growing up? Or are you just a genius, Li Peng?
No.
You're just smart.
No. None of my dad or mom or any family member speaks English. But my mom loves like videos. Yeah. So my favorite video, like we used to VHS.
Yeah, some of us still remember the VHS.
My favorite one is Sound of Music.
Which, by the way, is one of my favorite movies as well.
Oh, really?
Yes. But don't ask me to sing any songs.
And also Anne of Green Gable. That movie inspired me a lot. I like the way Anne speaks English.
Then eventually you went to National Jeongsu University and you majored in English. Now, for those of us who don't know about this, when somebody in Taiwan says, I majored in English, what actually do they study?
In my department, there are 3 major fields that you can choose courses from. The majority is literature classes, and the small part is about linguistics. And even smaller part is the teaching English as a
second language.
As a second language. Yeah.
And is it because of personal interest that people choose from one of those 3 fields, or the school just assigns you based on your entrance exam and says you're going to be in this group, or how do people choose the different groups?
Yeah, students can choose.
You choose. Yeah. And you're thinking of being a writer at the time?
I didn't expect that. But I enjoy reading literature.
And did you focus on the literature of a specific era, like 19th century literature or modern literature?
I enjoyed a lot in drama. Like Shakespeare's drama.
Oh, that's even older.
And also some modern dramas too. I was interested in those topics.
Now, I'm an American, so of course I have a bias in favor of American literature and American drama. But were students and the classmates around you and the professors, was there also a bias? Look, American culture is so dominant. That's just the reality. Or was there also a lot of people who were making an effort to focus on English language literature, but from other places other than the United States? For example, you mentioned Shakespeare, so there's the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada. Obviously, America is not the only source of English language material. So was there an effort to learn or read literature from other countries as well?
Like mostly English literature
from the United States.
From Bible to different periods of literature, and then to American literature, and there are also some practical English courses like journalism or things like that.
Looking back, since you majored in English literature and then eventually you worked in the English teaching materials industry as well, what are some things in your experience that English language educators in Taiwan do really well?
They are expert, like creating drills.
Is that something good or bad?
Well, I think at my time, that was really good practice. Yeah, you learn English step by step. Well, I cannot say it's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least you are learning on a certain pace.
Yeah, but when you actually have to get out and talk to foreigners like me, I don't know, is it helpful that you just know a lot of drills?
It's not helpful. So, but I think English educators improve themselves a lot too.
Here in Taiwan.
Like they learned a lot of theories and practical methods from Americas or from England or Singapore. So they have different methods and materials nowadays.
Now, when you say that English language educators in Taiwan have improved, are you referring to educators who are in the school system, in the public school system, and are you not referring to what we all think of, those English teachers in the cram schools, the bushibans? Who are you referring to when you say that the educators have improved over the years?
Yeah, I think like regular courses, but bushiban too. Yeah, cram school, they focus on like a lot of news. Yeah, for like high school, they have to like listen to broadcasts or TV shows, TV news. So
I think they should be listening to this show.
yeah. Yeah, so I think both of them are improving.
What are some things that English language educators still don't do very well here in Taiwan, though?
Exams, I guess.
Too many.
Like, yeah, or they can use different forms of exams. Like, it doesn't have to be examinations. It can be like evaluation or assessment. Yeah, different like oral or listening or writing. I think different kind of assessments.
Well, after working a few years in publishing English language teaching materials, you went to the United States and you got a master's in marketing.
Yes.
Now, some of us, or most of us, we think of a MBA. We all know what an MBA is. But you have a master's of science in marketing. Can you tell us a little bit about what that degree is? How is it different from other kind of masters in the business field?
Okay. They both belong to the business school, but they have different programs, like MBA program and MS program. I chose MS only because that was a time my dad was an entrepreneur in his business, so I didn't want to be his burden at that time. So yeah, I chose a shorter program, the MS program. But I think it is important that the MS program focus on quantitative methods.
So of course it's much more difficult than an MBA, right?
I couldn't say that, but
I'm giving you a chance, Puck.
Okay. Yeah, probably. It's more quantitative.
And you got this master's at the University of Rochester, which is a very good school. But what was it like living in Rochester?
Well,
why the long pause?
It's pretty much it's called the second largest city in New York State, but it's actually when I got there, I was like, wow, it's like just countryside.
Yeah, I've been to Rochester.
You've been there?
It's cold in the winter.
Very, very cold. It's close to the lake, so very cold in winter.
But famous for its university, so it does actually have a good reputation for that, and famous for Kodak, the camera company, is also what Rochester's known for. But then afterwards, you worked in Boston, so you seem to like the Northeast of the United States, and you kind of switched because some of your earlier experience had been with English language teaching materials. But then you worked for a company in Boston that specialized in Asian language teaching materials for students in America. What was it like making that switch from being here in Taiwan and working in English language teaching materials, and then being in the U.S. and working with Asian language teaching materials? What was difficult for you to make that transition?
It wasn't difficult for me at all. I liked the transition very much, and at first I refused to apply for any publishing company at that time. I was like, I want to get out of publishing because it takes a lot of effort and you don't make much money. So I was like, I have got to find a job that's not publishing related. But somehow I only applied for one publisher, just one, and I got an offer from them, and I was appealed by their goal to bring Asian languages to America. So I like their slogan. So it's like, I should bring Asian culture to America.
So you wanted to be an ambassador for Asian culture and languages. Of course, nowadays with China's economic growth, we tend to think of Americans also as wanting to learn Mandarin, and we see a lot of them here in Taiwan as well. But what other languages did you have experience working with when you were working for this publisher in the United States?
We have Japanese language learning materials as well, and Korean and Arabic and Indonesian. Yeah.
Did anything surprise you though? For example, were you at work one day and somebody called up and said, "Do you have any textbooks for Laotian or Thai, or did they ever like surprise you with the requests that people made?"
No. Yeah, it's always good to learn what you are interested in. So I won't be surprised.
But most of it was Mandarin related. Was that the big market?
Yeah, the big
because 1,000 years ago when I was younger, the big interest was in Japanese.
Oh,
right, in the 80s and the early 90s, but then it switched over to Mandarin. Be frank, be honest, because I'm an American. What did you find is some of the difficulties or the problems that Americans have with learning either Mandarin or other Asian languages? I mean, did you get like feedback on the textbooks, for example, things you discovered that really need to be changed to facilitate learning of the language?
I do think that Americans have one good advantage. They don't feel afraid to talk, to express.
Well, that's why I'm hosting the show, right?
Yeah, good job. So they won't feel shy to speak out for themselves. So I think it's a good advantage for them that, they don't feel bad about making mistakes. It's a very good thing we need to learn from, because we Eastern people feel, we don't want to.
But what does that mean for the teaching materials? I mean, do the teaching materials need to be adapted and changed so that there is more interaction?
Yes, there is more. There are more dialogues and tasks. So like learners have to maybe go to Chinatown to order something. Yeah, so it's.
And you wouldn't put that in a textbook teaching English here in Taiwan. You wouldn't say like go to McDonald's and order a hamburger.
Well, if the salespeople could do that.
We're going to take a break in a few minutes, but let's briefly talk about COVID-19 situation and children's books. So, schools are closed recently. Hopefully they'll reopen when the new school year starts. But parents are at home, kids are at home. What does that mean for the children's book market? Is your phone just ringing nonstop? People buying books because children are at home? Is it great for a business?
Well, it's slightly growing, but not that non-stopping cost. But I hope that. But I think children are at home, so they really need something to get their attention. But besides those smartphones or iPads or online courses, I think they do need some time to quiet themselves.
And a book is a good way to do that.
And a book is a good thing to. There's more imagination in the book than probably a show or a comic.
But does that become a bigger challenge to get the kids to look at books right now? Because before they might spend 4, 5, 6 hours at school or after school activity, then they come home, do some homework, but maybe there's an hour to read a book. But now they're sitting at home and they're with their tablet or the computer for 6, 7 hours right there at home. Does it become more difficult to get the kids to look at a book?
It's a big challenge. So I think a good way is the parents or grandparents, they can spare some time, a accompany their children or grandchildren. Just 10-15 minutes. That would be great.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about getting these kids to read more books, and specifically getting them to read Wimmel books. You're listening to Residence Messenger on Taipei Broadcasting Station.
如有长照服务需求、长照特别扣除额问题，请拨打1966长照专线，5分钟内通话免付费。一通电话让长期照顾管理专员协助申请长期照顾服务及解答长期照顾特别扣除额相关问题。以上内容由台北市政府卫生局提供。
爸爸应酬不开车，黄色嘟嘟安全多，应酬喝酒不过量，安全回家最上道。爸爸要平安回家哦。
喝酒不开车，开车不喝酒哦。让我们一起尊重生命，拥抱亲情。
亲爱的民众，提醒您定期清除排油烟机内部油垢。烹煮食物时，切忌分心做其他事情，并注意人离火熄。且厨房附近应设置灭火器，操作时保持适当距离。当厨房火灾时，严禁以水灭火。油锅起火也千万不要移动油锅，以免翻覆造成火势扩大延烧。以上内容由台北市政府消防局提供。
亲爱的朋友，您还在吸烟吗？ 快拿着健保卡到戒烟门诊或拨打戒烟专线0800636363。提醒您，最近兴起的电子烟、加热烟，因为没有浓浓的烟臭味，就被认为无害。其实已经证实，新兴烟品都有二手烟及三手烟的危害，甚至还有爆炸的风险。我是义工蔡依林，所有烟品都 get out。我拒烟，我骄傲。
家己电台吼，家己主持咧。大家好，我是郭文铁，我伫台北广播电台。
谁当家？
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 你当家？
谁当家？
谁当家？
谁当家？我当家。你当家？我当家。
我当家。
到底谁当家？你来当家。
Welcome back to Residence Messenger. Our guest today is Lee Peng from children's book publisher Aeroship. Peng, before the break, we were talking about the challenges of getting children to read books, real books, and get them away from computers and tablets and television, especially during challenge COVID-19. You mentioned parents and grandparents. Did you mean that they need to read with the children? They need to sit with their children and read, or just put the book in the kids' hands and walk away?
Well, I don't mean that you have to regulate a real time to like sit down and sit well and then read. You can be more relaxed. It's a fun time together. You don't have to be like, like a requirement for them. Children need more like freedom for them, so they feel happy and they are more willing to explore the world in the books.
But do the parents and the grandparents need to read with the kids? They need to sit with them?
That's a good question. I think either way is good. You can read with them, then spend some good quality time with them, or you can give them a Wimmer book, which I will introduce later, and like enjoy the world together and discuss and explore and observe and like talk any topic they want to talk about.
What kind of content, regardless of the format, a Wimmel book or other types of formats, what kind of content is popular with children in Taiwan right now? Do they want to read about travel? Do they want to read about animals? Do they want to read about futuristic things like spaceships and stuff like that? What's popular?
Children actually like funny stuff. So there's a series which is very popular in Taiwan. It's called PP 侦探. Yeah, so there's a detective whose head is like a bottom. And children love it. Like the image. Well, children love, poo-poo or things like that. Yeah, so the more funny the more enjoy they. Yeah, so I won't limit them to a certain topic. Yeah, they can just choose what they like. That's what I recommend.
A few years ago, you started Aeroship, a new children's book publisher. Besides just money and having the money to start a new business, what were some of the other challenges you encountered with starting this business?
First of all, the number of children. Yeah, the birth rate is decreasing, so that's one big challenge. Yeah, Ralph, why not? Welcome to parent.
Eventually, I hope to be a parent, yes.
Welcome to parent. Secondly, the big challenge would be the computers or online courses, which are dazzling to the kids. Yeah, so these two are big challenges for book publishers.
But on the other hand, what are some of the advantages of Taiwan as a market? There's computers, there's tablets, but what is it about, and the falling birth rate, of course, but what else makes Taiwan an attractive place to introduce new children's books? Is it because the parents are very involved with their children's education, or are there other reasons why Taiwan is a good place for new children's books?
I think parents in Taiwan, they are aware that they need to have the children read books first and then get into tablets or computers later. And this way they won't feel that difficult to go back to books. Yeah. So if they can read books first, they won't feel difficult to go back to books when they get to more dazzling worlds in the TVs or whatever. But so I think parents in Taiwan, they are well educated, and they are aware that they need to have their children exposed to the books first.
Where do parents buy the books? Are they buying them online, or they still go to a bookstore and browse? I mean, that used to be part of the enjoyment of buying books, even for children as well, right? You would take the children to the store, let them sit on the floor and take a book off the shelf, and mom or dad could walk around and go look at some other adult books, about topics that the parents are interested in. But what about nowadays? Where do people buy children's books?
Online mostly. But I see when I go to elite bookstores, I see a lot of parents bring their kids there as well. So I think both ways.
What about word of mouth? Is that crucial as well, that parents tell other parents, I got a book for my child and she loved it and was so happy reading this book series? Is that an important factor as well?
Yes, very important. There are a lot of line groups. Yeah, that parents will share their
secrets, their tips.
Yeah, and there are many celebrities. They will share their interests. Or their
are they paid endorsers when they're if a celebrity is recommending a children's book? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about Wimmel books, and you brought some today, which people who are watching our show on YouTube can also see as well. But tell us what is a Wimmel book?
Okay.
And also, please give us the Mandarin name as well of a Wimmel book.
Okay. A Wimmel book is originally from the German area.
So not just Germany, but also Austria and Switzerland.
Or places around there. And it's originally from there, and there are a lot of Wimmel books with different topics, like cities or animals or airports or train stations or soccer games. Any topic you can imagine, they have a lot of Wimmel books in their family. At school, teachers use them a lot. You can see when you go to a music hall, you can even buy one from there. You can buy one Wimmel book about their music hall as well. So there are different topics, different kinds of Wimmel books there. And there's one strength of it. It's like they are pictures books, real picture books.
When you say real, you mean
no
drawings, animation, right? Not actual photos. It's only animation.
Yeah, animation.
And no words.
No words.
And that is the key thing of a Wimmel book from other that makes it different than other children's books. There's no words.
Because the root of the Wimmel means like a feast to the eyes. Yeah. And book, Wimmel book means books. So combined with the combination, it's a book of a feast to the eyes. Yeah, so when you open it, you'll see, wow, there's so many things to look at. Where should I start? Like, should I start here, start with the animals, or should I start with the people or the train?
So a key thing for a Wimmel book, and I noticed from the samples you brought today, is there's no white space, right? There's no empty space on the page, right? It's end-to-end, full of drawings and animations.
Yes, and that's a good tool for kids to explore because there are so many things happening out there. So I think kids are natural observers. They can find details. They are good, keen observers than adults. Yeah, so they will Whoa, I see they are doing something. They are over there, something over there. There's a poo-poo on the street, blah, 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 blah. They can just going on and on and on. They will talk themselves. There's one time I was just cooking in the kitchen on weekend, and there's no sound out there. It was like, oh, what are they doing? I was like, what were you doing? And then I have 2 kids. They were spreading the Wimmer books on the floor, and the brothers and sisters, they are just talking and discussing things on their own. Wow, I was surprised that I don't need to really be with them, but they can enjoy themselves in the books.
What's the typical length of a Wimmer book?
It's usually about 6 to 10 pages, not many.
Yeah. But I noticed that when you showed me the samples today, that they're kind of large size. They're not like a tiny, but the number of pages is not very many.
Not very, like 6 to 10 pages. There are some with more pages, but for little kids, they use board books. It's
a very thick paper stock.
Yeah. So it won't. You won't easily like break them or tear.
Yeah. So the kids could really beat them up. They could throw it around and stuff.
Yeah, they can throw each other maybe.
But you mentioned that the typical Wimmer book it's end to end drawing, so there's no empty space on the pages. Are children encouraged to pick up a crayon or a pencil and start coloring or doodling inside the books as well?
I won't say no if I'm the parent, but I would prepare some empty paper. They can draw. Maybe they find something that they think is cute. They can draw on their own. They can make their own Wimmer book as well. Yeah.
Well, what are some of the Wimmer books that so far have been very popular with Taiwan children?
Do you know Finding Waldo? The guy with red and white stripes. Yeah, that's a one kind of Wimmer books that there's very little words. With a lot of people at the beach or at the train station, you have to look for them with a magnifying glasses. So starting with cities, children might get interested in, or animals, or transportation vehicles. Yeah, children would like them a lot.
Well, why transportation? Why is that interesting to children?
Boys like vehicles a lot, from my observation. But we cannot just say boys love transportation. Girls can like transportation too. So that's just very popular topic. Or dinosaurs. Or animals. Children love animals.
We talked several times about the effect of the digital age and computers and tablets. Do Wimmer books have accompanying online material as well, like additional activities that children could do online, or is the concept really meant to focus on the hard copy, on the books?
We plan to have e-books, e-Wimmer books. Online too. We are doing it right now. We plan to insert sounds inside. So when you touch it, it will make the sound of the picture, like every corner of it. Yeah, so
in the hard copy book, you mean, or online?
Online ebook.
And but will there be words when you do that, or it's only sounds?
will pop out with the words and the sound as well.
In foreign language or in Mandarin?
We are trying to do like
multi-language. Okay. Earlier this year, National Taiwan University Children's Hospital, together with Arrowship, released a children's Wimmel book, which was called National Taiwan University Children's Hospital Wimmel book. It was meant to do what? What was the purpose of this book?
Yeah. Actually, we have brought in a Wimmel book on a children's hospital in Switzerland. And they have the Switzerland, they published a children's hospital Wimmel book. And in the hospital, the nurses, they would tell the kids, what you are going to do, we are going to do this and that.
You mean the kinds of procedures that the children might be having in the hospital?
They will explain to the kids what they are going to do in the hospital. And the kids know the procedure and they won't feel so afraid of what's going to happen to them. And the National Taiwan University, they saw the book and then they contact us and say, we want to have our own Wimmel book as well. We want our children in the hospital, they won't get so much nervous about what's going on. And there are some children, when we visit them, there are some children, they probably have to stay in the hospital for a long time. So they really need something that can release their tension. They won't feel like they are confined in the the room only. Yeah, so they want us to help them publish the book.
Help us understand how you adapt a Swiss version of the Wimmel book, especially for a topic as serious as this. And, it's hot children who have to, unfortunately, stay in the hospital. How do you adapt the Swiss version for use here in Taiwan? The concept's the same. It's a Wimmel book for children who are in the hospital. But what do you change about the drawings, or are there cultural differences? Help us understand that.
Yeah. There are different cultural backgrounds, like in German area or here in Taiwan. So we talked with the artist, the illustrator, and with the doctors as well. We had a meeting together, and we discussed what would children here in Taiwan like to see. So there are more imaginative things here in our book.
When you say imaginative, give us an example.
We actually have Pokemon ball, 宝可梦球 in the book. Yeah, so because it's very popular in Taiwan, a lot of kids know 宝可梦and they're monsters. So the artists try to put some ideas in the book. So they get the kids, when they read it, they feel familiar with it. Like, yeah, it's the 宝可梦球. Yeah.
And what else about the faces? I mean, what else do you need to change to adapt it? The food that appears in the. I mean, what are the little things you change?
Yeah, there's a prayer room in the hospital actually on the very top of the floor, and so you can pray at the prayer room, or you can say something to the Buddha. If you want. So,
and this was not in the Swiss version.
Yeah, and we actually make the hospital like an amusement park. So the artist drew roller coaster to demonstrate that it's like a roller coaster ride when you go through those examinations or procedure or surgeries, and you will be safe after all when you come back. Yeah, so the artist is very careful to adapt to the children here, their interests or their like their what they like. and put those factors in the book.
And give us a preview of some other WIML books you're working on right now.
We are working on a WIML book about Taiwan's native species, from the riverside to the high mountains or deep ocean. In the WIML book, you will see all the Taiwan native species, like Taiwan 蓝雀 or 樱花钩吻龟 or the moon bear, 台湾黑熊, or there are 台北树蛙 tree frogs native in Taipei. You'll see that in the WIML book we are working on soon.
What about extinct animals? Well, how do you explain that in a WIML book? That some animals are in the book, but they might not be with us anymore.
We will design a booklet, and we will try to explain a little in the booklet.
What's the age range? When does a child become too old for a WIML book?
In German area, actually there's no age limit. But here in Taiwan, we rely on words a lot. When you watch a movie, you see there's subtitles out there. So I think after children aged over 12, probably they will get to read novels.
So they'll outgrow the WIML book.
Yeah, I think so. Here in Taiwan.
You mentioned working with the illustrators, for example, when you were doing the children's hospital book. What are the skills that an illustrator needs to have to be successful with WIML books? Because not every illustrator could do this, even if they're very talented, but not every illustrator could do this. What are the special skills for WIML books that illustrators need to have?
You have to have a landscape view on the whole scenery. Some artists, they are good at drawing small stuff. They can make it cute, they can make it very artistic. But there are so many details in the WIML book. So the artists really need to have a landscape view on everything, and also detailed in small things as well. Yeah, so it's very difficult.
Which countries have the best WIML book illustrators?
Probably the German area. Germany, I would say.
But here in Taiwan, they're improving?
Here in Taiwan, yeah, we are trying. We are training the artists.
Sounds like that's still a challenge for you then.
Yeah. But do you know 清明上河图 in 故宫博物院? I think it's a very similar idea to WIML book. There are so many people out there, and it's a very huge picture.
Do people come to you constantly and say, Peng, I have an idea for a children's book, and you have to politely tell them, oh, that's nice, but you know it's not really going to work?
That happens.
What are some of the ideas people come to you with and suggest should be a good WIML book?
I have friends. She suggests me to publish a book about math. Yeah, and I would say, yeah, children's book about math, we can try to make it fun as much as possible, but it's still about math. So, and you can only probably tell the children one kind of function at a time.
You mean addition or subtraction? Or
Yeah. You have to have different volumes on everything. Yeah.
So it doesn't really work with a WIML book.
Probably so far.
Does anyone ever come to you and say, why don't you do a WIML book for adults? As a kind of something funny for adults?
Yes.
Yeah, what kind? Is there anything you could tell us on the radio that people suggest to you for an adult WIML book?
Yeah. I have a friend. She suggests me to publish a book for adults, especially on people's workplace.
What, so you would see like all the different types of colleagues, the
yeah,
nice
yeah.
one, the mean one.
Yeah. So, yeah, but like different workplaces, like the train station or the hospital or the classroom or the...
Yeah. And you politely said thank you, but you knew that wasn't such a great idea.
Well, I think it's good, but like it's a big project. Yeah, if I can collect so many workplaces, why not? But so far, it's a little bit challenging.
Speaking of challenges, and we're almost out of time, what do you see as the future of the children's book industry here in Taiwan?
Well, I hope it's growing, but yeah, it's very competitive and challenging in the industry for sure. But I think parents are, as I said, they are aware that it's important for the kids
to still read books. So just want to emphasize, read real books. Don't just do online activities. And Peng, if people want to learn more about Aeroship or about the books that are currently available for sale here in Taiwan, where could people get more information?
Yeah, we have a website. You can just Google 飞行船文化教育 or you can type in www.aeroship.com.tw. You can find our books, and you can also find our books on Bookalai or Elite Bookstore, and so many other channels as well.
Great. And are there any in-person activities that might be upcoming after the COVID-19 situation changes? Will you be doing like, you have instructors or teachers do like a public reading of the Wimmel books with children? Anything like that upcoming?
Yeah, earlier this year, we just published the CET's a series about Wimmel books. And the newest one is about Taichung. So we plan to have a book launch event in Taichung in May, but it was delayed, postponed to July, and now postponed again to October. So
hopefully, fingers crossed. Yes, fingers crossed.
You can visit us.
So, do you? What's the date for this event? Do you have a date?
Yeah, it's October 23rd.
Okay, great. So
in 中央书局, Taichung 中央书局,
okay,
Central
so
Book.
Hopefully people will be able to attend in person the launch of your newest Wimmel book. Well, Peng, this has been so much fun to learn about Wimmel books, and hopefully people listening today will get some Wimmel books for their children or their future children.
Yeah.
And thank you again thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Ross.
You've been listening to Residence Messenger on Taipei Broadcasting Station. Have a great weekend.